We have a team of reporters out covering and analyzing all the major races tonight.
And we want to begin with Eyewitness News reporter Tim White, who is with the Raimondo campaign at the Union Station Brewery in Providence.
He joins us now live with what the governor had to say to her supporters. Tim?
Mike and Shannon, as you can hear, this party is still going on. Everybody here is in high spirits. The governor actually just left only about 20 minutes ago. I can tell you it was a long day for the governor. She went across the state to the different polling locations. Obviously they were confident, but I think that's a sign they weren't taking anything for granted at that time. She went home after that to watch the returns. Michael Shannon, it didn't take long. By 8:30, Eyewitness News had called the race for Governor Raimondo. I think that speaks to the large margin of victory, and the campaign is obviously very happy about the double-digit margin of victory, especially when you consider how much the Raimondo campaign has spent on this. More than $4.5 million since 2017 alone, and $1.6 million just on paid television advertising. I had a chance to interview the governor when she arrived here. I asked her about her victory and if she was surprised at how much she has spent so far.
It always surprises me. I mean, the worst part of politics is money. I hate fundraising. We desperately need campaign finance reform, which I have fought hard for since I've been governor and will continue to. So, you know, it's part of what you have to do, and we're just going to keep working hard to do it and make sure we have the resources we need in order to run a winning campaign, which we will do.
And we're back live now. Again, the governor left just about 20 minutes ago. She worked this entire room that entire time, thanking all of her supporters, many of whom were going door to door all day long and volunteering at the different polling locations. She was joined by the first husband, Andy Moffett, her daughter Cece, and her son Tommy, who is a bit of a celebrity here when you think about the milk ad that was a bit of a hit among the circles of the campaign. And I think Tommy definitely enjoyed that attention. She admitted that she was tired but will be ready to go looking ahead to tomorrow and to the general election. For now, live in Providence, Tim White, Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Tim. Matt Brown said a short time ago that he will back Governor Gina Raimondo despite a primary campaign that included threats of legal action.
Eyewitness News reporter Kim Kalunian talked to Brown earlier this evening, and she joins us live from Providence. Kim?
Well, Matt Brown's watch party here at Fett in Oneyville is officially clearing out about 2 hours after he gave his concession speech to a crowd gathered here. Obviously, the Secretary of State, the former Secretary of State, I should say, was disappointed in the outcome of tonight's race, but he told me earlier when I spoke with him that he was proud of the grassroots campaign that he ran.
This is the campaign I wanted to run. We ran on the issues that matter to people. We fought for the things we believed in. The basic idea that government ought to work for the people and only the people. And we had a lot of fun doing it, and it was driven by volunteers, especially young people. And I feel good about what we've done.
And some of the supporters that I spoke with here tonight said Matt Brown was really the first candidate who energized them. He told them in his concession speech tonight to keep that momentum going. Now, he also says he will be supporting Governor Raimondo in the general election. I asked him about his future. He says he will likely stay in public service, but isn't committing to any future political campaigns. Live in Providence tonight, I'm Kim Kalunian, Eyewitness News.